Today on the Hangout, Kyle Lowry comes up clutch against the Bucks. Raging Rajon Rondo does in his old gang, Celtics down 2. And Blake Griffin evens up his series with the Jazz. Hangout! Basketball fans, welcome into Canada's home for Talking Hoops. This is the Hangout. My name is Akil Augustine, and I'll be joined by 3 of my extremely close friends to talk about everything that's happening in the NBA playoffs right now. You know him, you love him, or you know him, you hate him. He's Dan Gladman.
Or you just don't know him.
There's that option
That's
too.
probably the most likely.
But if you're watching this show,
you probably know
they
him.
know him.
And you probably hate.
All right, the guy that I'm always yelling at to roll the viz or to throw up a board, making him one of his 2 appearances per year.
You keep me in the back, man.
My brother from another mother, Dwayne Sweets Watson. What's good?
I'm good, man.
All right, and
Are any of us actually friends?
well, I mean,
Yeah, really,
we're
eh?
really just co-workers.
Is he friends with any of us, really?
Yeah,
we're
we
just
have to be
co-workers.
friends.
We
We're
spend
friends.
way too much
Rivals,
time together.
enemies.
Every court surfing night, you know this guy. He's good old blue eyes, Randy Urban.
Right, yeah.
Let's jump right into it, guys. We know why we're
Finally.
here. Raptors, Bucks. Randy, did everyone overreact to the Game 1 loss?
Well, look, Milwaukee's a better team than I think a lot of people gave them credit for coming in. But yeah, I think they did overreact. They're 42-40. They are what they are throughout the season. It's not like, yes, they got better, a little bit better over the second half of the season.
Without Jabari
But
Parker.
they're not, but they're not a great team. They have some serious flaws. And if the Raptors get over this sort of mental hurdle, which I think they did last night, then they should be able to dispose of them in 6.
Dan, you're buying the serious flaws of the Milwaukee Bucks?
Not really. I mean, they're not a great team, but they are a very dangerous playoff team. And at 44-40, if that, whatever their record was, that indicates that they're kind of a 50-50 team in a 7-game series. 4 games out of 7, it could go either way.
But do you think people overreacted to the
Oh,
Game 1?
of course.
Yeah, weren't you there?
They're still overreacting today.
Trade Lowry!
The texts I got from some friends of mine, even today, while I'm trying to defend, okay, just win, baby. They won Game 2 or 1-1. People are still jumping off the
Raptors
cliff.
didn't even play that well, and they're going up 13. They're going up 15. They're up 8 in Game 1. Like, we haven't even seen the Raptors
I agree with that.
at
But I think that's
80%.
But
of
isn't
their
that a
best
reason to be
yet.
concerned? Because they're not playing the way they should be playing?
No, I don't.
No, because they have to adjust to a team that has surprised them, and they
But
showed some
it's not a
adjustments
surprise though,
yesterday.
because everyone in the post-game comments said they didn't do anything we didn't think we were going to see. So they knew what they were going to get.
I think they're just saying that, though. The Bucks did not shoot this well from 3
No.
in the 4 games we saw in the regular
Greg Monroe
season.
never
but
played this.
And Monroe, yeah.
But
Monroe went like 8, 9, 10 games in a row without seeing the floor, and now all of a sudden
Yeah.
he's.
I think the Bucks have been a big surprise. Other than like we went into this series, Antetokounmpo, that was all
Right.
we were talking about, and Brogdon's doing this, and Middleton's doing that, and
But
Monroe. It's
But
scary.
that's the concern though, because the guys who aren't the stars are doing stuff for the Bucks, and the guys who aren't the stars for the Raptors aren't doing the same.
Okay, on that note, our second question of the day, is Giannis the best player on the floor in this series? Dwayne Sweeterman Watson.
He's the best player on the floor in the series. I think he does the most, but he's not a guy like Kyle Lowry who can take over a game when he wants to and carry his team to victory.
or DeMar DeRozan.
Exactly. He's the most talented by far,
Yeah.
but he's not a guy who's going to turn around for the Bucks team.
Not yet. Anyway.
Let's go.
You know, he struggles a little bit in his mid-range game. If you D him up actually in the half court, he's not as good as he is obviously in transition, and that's where the Raptors have to get back and make him work for his
Yeah,
buckets.
I am going to agree with that. If you go back to the first round last year, Paul George was the best player on the floor, and he could dominate the game. And Antetokounmpo does it in a different way with the drives to the basket. But when you get into that half-court offense, Milwaukee does stall a little bit, and you know, Jack was saying it on the air last night. Antetokounmpo shooting from 15, 20, three-point line, you'll live with it.
That's what you want.
And he was 9 of 24.
Exactly.
That was actually our next question,
Yep.
was what are your impressions of how the Raptors have defended?
Well, I thought PJ Tucker had an amazing closeout on him at the three-point line, which forced him into a really difficult shot. I think PJ's just been great in a half-court set against Giannis.
I mean, 9-24, like you said, I think they're doing a good job. Second game, they made him shoot like 7 shots from outside of the key, which is key. But it's really, like I said, the other guys. I mean, I think the Raptors collectively are doing a better job, but they're also taking themselves away from guys like Brogdon and Monroe and other guys who are getting off.
Did you see the offensive rebound Antetokounmpo had? Where
his arms
he goes back. That is
Inspector Gadget there.
Fair.
The length is ridiculous.
The athletic advantage of that. That was. We didn't really make a big deal about. Unbelievable.
Even
rebound.
the defensive rebounding, like unless you're JV in there, I would just get back. Like don't if you're PJ Tucker looking up and I know you're a big guy and you want to box out, but there's no way you're getting that defensive rebound.
Great.
You saw him come down with it almost every time. So at that point, just get back on D.
Speaking of stars, which Kyle Lowry, Dwayne Watson, shows up in Game 3?
I think the original Kyle Lowry comes back.
The regular season Kyle?
We haven't seen Kyle play at his best. No. Like the original, like the true Kyle Lowry.
Yeah.
Because we haven't seen him yet in the series. I mean, the Raptors won Game 2, but Kyle played good. You know, he's very deliberate in sharing the ball. Didn't take as many shots as we would have liked to see. But I think the game time Kyle Lowry showing up in Game 3.
We're in agreement here?
He has to, by the way.
He always plays.
Oh,
better.
yeah, for sure.
Well, he always plays better on the road. Kyle Lowry is a better road player and he has some great games at home, but on the road, this guy gets it done. I have no problem saying that the Raptors come back with at least one win.
We're not going to see another game in this series or in the playoffs where he only scores 4 points.
No.
That's an anomaly. That's not going to happen again.
We said that before, though, too, in the playoffs.
4 point. That was a particularly no-show for him. I can't see it going to that level.
He's confident in his takes in the playoffs.
And
You see that, right?
Having said that, I don't think the Raptors should overestimate the Bucks either. It seems like they do sometimes when they get into the paint. I know Kyle, it looks like he's still thinking about getting blocked or missing a layup. Like, forget about that. Just take it in.
I remember the spin move last night where he had space after he did that dramatic
floater.
Spin.
But are we forgetting about the most important player for the Raptors in the playoffs? Serge Ibaka. 10 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 blocks, second half.
And they didn't even think he was going to play, or they just led us to believe
he was great in the first game. I mean,
he wasn't really playing the first
Well,
quarter.
yeah, and again, Raptors Nation
he was
jumping off the cliff in the first half when Serge was 1 for 7.
Yeah.
I got a text. I'm not going to throw my buddy Ryan under the bus, but if it said if he's got a bad ankle, why is he even playing? Well, you stick with him. You saw what kind of performer he is in the second half.
MVP of the second half. Like,
without question. He was huge.
Threes.
Quickly, before we go to break, has your outlook after 2 games changed on this series?
I feel better after that win. I mean, you had to get that, so I feel better going to Milwaukee. But
I caught Raps in 6, so I'm still good.
Sticking with that, Raps in 6?
I had him in 6, but now I have this bad sinking feeling there's going to be a Game 7.
We love Game 7.
Well, if there is a Game 7, it will be on April 29th, and it will be in Toronto. All right, well, that wraps up the first segment of Canada's home for Talkin' Hoops Hangout. We'll be back after the break. So much more to break down across the league. But of course, I'm imploring you fans, get out here. Like this young man. I forget his name, but he really busted the moves out there. You see me joining with him?
The guy in the mic.
This was a controversial moment. Young lady felt she should have won. She had some of the hottest moves out. I was willing to join her. We'll be back with more. This is Hangout.